Hey guys, Scott here. Thought I'd do something a little bit different today. As I said last video, I've been really not feeling well, so I have not been streaming. But yesterday I streamed for the first time, but I was still feeling like shit, so I didn't want to like talk or be entertaining or do anything. So I actually did a stream where I just played the game, didn't talk or do anything. It was weird. It was weird playing Dead by Daylight without actually like entertaining people. It was the first time I've done that in a really long time. So I actually had a really good match on Swamp against what seemed to be very decent players. And I thought I'd just go over it as sort of like an analysis video. Maybe you'll learn something, maybe you'll not. I figured it might be educational, so why not? Why not try? The reason I picked this match is because I almost lost, and they played very well, and they did a lot of things that you see competitive players do, like running into corners on purpose, running super early. Like they just played really safe for a lot of them. I'm not sure if they were a group or anything like that. I'm not saying that they were. I know two of them were friends, but that's about it. But I just wanted to go over this match, and I have not watched it. I just remember this game being really good. So, playing Demogorgon. First thing I do with Demogorgon. This might actually act as a Demogorgon guide. First thing I do is always put down a portal where I spawn every single time, no matter what. It just might come in handy later. I don't lose distance to anybody, so why not? So, with Lethal Pursuer, I can see that there are 4 people. We got 3 spawning here, and then this guy here. So, I already know I'm probably going to go for the guy on the right, because he is isolated. He's kind of running to a corner, and I have the best chance of actually hitting him. So going for the guy on the right is the smarter choice. The people on the left are near the boat. The boat's a very strong structure, and I don't want to go there. So I always want to go for the person that is around the least amount of resistance, basically. And obviously this guy was around the least amount of resistance. So he's at a long wall here, so I know I can reach that in time. And so I ready the lunge like as I'm coming around the corner. You can tell you're in a long wall jungle gym because the pallet will be on the left side like that. If you're on the other type of jungle gym, it'll be on the right side. So you can basically know which way you have to get your lunge ready for as you're entering the loop based on where the pallet is, because you can tell what kind of tile it is. Swamps do have a different tile on the pier that can be both, but that's the only example of it. Here I'm nodding in a Fang because she knows I can't do anything. I have to walk all the way back around, and so I actually put a portal over here because getting to this pier is actually very annoying. So that portal will come in handy later. Here I'm a fucking idiot and I fall down. This is probably first big mistake I made. Then I put a portal down here. I try some ninjutsu shit while she can watch me. This was just an objectively stupid play. Definitely should not have done this. So she wisely just waits there, doesn't fall for anything. And now she starts going. Here I see that I'm on an elevation, and I know I can jump on top of this loop and basically negate the loop entirely. So I actually sit on the loop itself. Or rather, I try to, and I jump over. But it makes you drop the pallet immediately. So if you sit on top of a loop like that, very few killers can do that, but it essentially renders the entire loop inert because you're just on top of it. So it's a good thing to do as demo. I give her too much distance here. I should have actually hit her there. Now she's in a very skinny hallway, so it's a free shred. I always shred because it's a shorter cooldown with the Black Heart add-on by about 15%, so definitely works. But we corralled her back into the area where she just used the pallet, so there's nothing she can do. I wait until she's like not in actual grass because it can be hard to see if they try to spin on that grass. So I know I'm not going to commit to a chase here. I just want to get one hit. So this is a good example of when to slug and when not to slug. So that ace just went into an area that's very hard to actually down him in. That pier area is a nightmare. It'd probably take me another 30 seconds to actually down him, at which point the Fang will have gotten back up and I will have a net loss in time. However, if I put an injure state on the ace and then just go to pick up this Fang, now I've got a hook state and an injure state, and I haven't really lost any time. And so it ends up being a time efficiency gain. So I'm trying to like put in perspective when a good time to slug is. Slugging just to get a hit there, good slugging, and then trying to down that ace, not a good idea because of the area that he was in. It was very hard to down him in that area. So I noticed immediately this player runs very, very early. This is something you see in competitive matches quite a bit. Competitive players will run very early. As soon as they see the killer even moving in their direction, they could be 40 meters away, they will start running away because they know the time it takes to actually get to that person they'll throw the entire game if they try to get to him. So this person's playing very smart and running very early to a very safe structure. This boat has 2 safe pallets on it. They know about the windows too. As soon as they see him take this vault, I think I abandoned this chase because I realized I know I'm chasing a good survivor on a strong tile and it's not worth it anymore. I think I just get a hit and then that's about it. I don't actually remember this game. Yeah, so I think... Yeah, I remember just abandoning this tile because, yeah, she went back up there, but she still has all the pallets up. It'll take me another minute to down her. It's just not worth it. I get an injury state, and that's great. It'll compound into something later, it's not a complete loss of time, but I'd rather take an easier chase somewhere else. So we get a hit on... I actually fuck up the shred there. I didn't charge it long enough, but it's, you know, tenths of a second of difference. Not a really huge big deal there. Now we have her at shack, and Demogorgon's very good at shack. Now, I know I'm not going to lose any distance from that area. Actually, I don't remember why. Why did I abandon shack there? Typically, Demogorgon... Oh, because the generator. So, as I was, like, walking to the shack, I noticed the gen on the left was actually... had a lot of completion. And sometimes... it's actually better to abandon a chase if you have Hex Rune up. It's better to abandon a chase and get people off the generator than it is to commit to a down, because you'll get immense value from just simply being near generators with Rune up. If I did not have Rune up, I would have continued to chase the Jane, but because I do, I want to get as much value from the perk as I possibly can, and all you have to do is walk into your gens for that to happen. So I know those people are working on those gens again, so I really don't want to spend too much time here. Here, I could have played that better. I could have actually downed her sooner. Does she have dead arc? I forget. Oh yeah, here we get a really good body block, and I hesitate way too much. I could have downed the Jane, but I couldn't decide if I wanted to stick inside of a in a shred or just let it go, and I deliberated too much in time, and the body block ended up being really effective, so I have to abandon that. And you see again, you see how far away this person is? They run so early. This is actually like competitive strats. It seems so simple, but this is like, what am I gonna do? Well, I'll tell you what I do. I am going to place a portal in between the boat and her because she always wants to run to the boat. And now, when I teleport there, she is forced to run away from the boat. So that is why that portal placement there will be hugely beneficial to me later, because I can cut her off from getting to her safe structure, because the rest of the map is not nearly as good as the boat. So that's an example of forcing survivors into a direction with my power that can be very useful. Ace actually being pretty efficient there. He fakes the window, and... as a demo, you don't even have to play that game. You can just hold it until they're in the animation, or you can wait for them to fake it. So you don't really have to play a faking game at all. Here, I try to cut the person off, and I end up finding two people running in the opposite direction. So that is actually better for me, because always go where there are more than one person. Like if you have one guy in one area of the map and two people in one area, always pressure the two people. Unfortunately, Jane has balanced landing right to the boat, so again, that's a chase I can't take. I'm in a scenario where they keep getting into places where I just can't chase them efficiently, and they also have good medkits, so they keep healing up, so a lot of my pressure is being lost. However, they're not really gaining much either, because they get hit, run away, and go heal, so we're in a kind of a stalemate at the moment. No one's really doing anything, what can be frustrating as skiller, because I'm not downing anybody, but I can't commit to these chases where I know I'm not going to be able to down them in time. So eventually they run out of medkit charges, and eventually this war of attrition will go in my favor. But when they run to the boat with all the safe pallets up, I just can't go there. It's just going to take too long. And so there are two people on this gen. I'm trying to get my Hex Rune value as much as I can. I remember this Fang is also very good as well. I think this is the same good one, actually. Pretty much everyone in the lobby was good. But now I've got her in a much better scenario for me. She dead hards the first hit. I know she's got a long wall, so I already go around, not even trying to like go into the loop. She actually leaves it, which is surprising. Gets a bit more time here, but I'm actually surprised she left that loop. She probably could have gotten to the pallet in time. However, she does know that Demogorgon can lunge the entire distance of that long wall jungle gym as well. So it's iffy. I think she just tried to get to the boat again. Basically, this game is just everybody trying to get to the boat, which is smart. You can't really blame them. That is the correct thing to do on this map. I think that was probably the biggest mistake they made. That gen must have been 99%, because when you have Rune up, you really want to commit to gens. It's so heartbreaking to have a gen 99 and then get chased off it and you lose all of your progress. So I think that, because that Fang is a good player. She's not stupid. I think that gen must have been 99, and then going down for that gen would have actually been the smart play, but it was just tiny bit off. And they don't even get any punishment for it anyway, so they both get up and they're just fine. They have... very good at pickup speeds. I think the Jane had were going to live forever. I don't actually remember. Either way, she's back up very fast, and also the generator was finished as well while they were next to each other, so possibly two people there. So just like to figure out how many people are doing what, the generator was finished while I have Rune up, and also the Fang was picked up. That indicates the Fang had Unbreakable, or there were two people there, because one guy had to be repairing the gen, and another guy had to be picking the person up, because the generator would have been regressing that whole time. So then that basically, I'm just like trying to tell you how you can figure out how many people are in an area by context clues of the things that are happening. So likely there were two other people in that area. Jane is pretty much at nothing right here. There's no reason to commit to a shred at this point, because I can just end up fucking it up. She does the balanced landing, and I think I try to cut it off. As long as I go in this direction, it'll force her away from the boat, so still going in that direction is fine. It just ends up wasting a lot more of my time because I just lose her as she goes the other direction. There were scratches going the complete opposite direction, so that was just it happens sometimes. But now here, I remember thinking, this is not good. Because you'll notice what I'm doing right now. I'm chasing one guy and nothing else is happening. No one else is being pressured. And this is the whole thing of map pressure. This is what map pressure is. I'm not pressuring anybody else on the map right now. Everyone's healed. They're free to do whatever they want. All I'm doing is chasing Jane. This is not good. So you'll notice I start looking around to see where people are as I'm chasing people, and that's typically a really good idea. Huge mistake by that Jane as well. That is, I think, probably the only other huge mistake they make. Granted, I would have shredded and broke that pallet, and then she'd be at shack or she'd go down, but it still would have bought her 20 more seconds. So definitely a huge mistake there. So even though I know there's a guy right behind shack who's very quickly able to go get that save, I know that the Jane is on first hook and pressuring that area is not worth it. If she's on second hook and close to dying, then it starts to become worth it. But right now, it's not even worth it to remain there. I know there's people here, and again, that guy starts running so early, so I can't chase him. He's being way too safe. He's running way too quickly. So again, I place a portal in a way that will cut him off from getting to the boat, but that's all I can do in that scenario. Now I remember deliberating between going back to the hook or letting that person behind me finish that gen. And I don't remember what I do here. Some pretty efficient looping by Ace here. I think after running around this twice, he's hugging the corners pretty perfectly. I fuck up going the right side too because I can't hear him, but I think I'll have to drop it now. Yeah. So it's much better to just eat that stun than risk giving him another loop because that's a decently safe pallet. So I already see that person already started running to the boat again. As soon as I look in their direction, they're running. So now I decide to actually cut them off so they can't get back to the boat. And I forget if this works or not. It's the idea of it that's more important. Regardless, I find, yeah. So it ends up working. I find them a bit more out of position now, pushing him into this side, which I'd much rather have them at. A long wall is not too bad for Demogorgon. She plays it again, very safe. Just drops the pallet immediately. Hesitates a bit here. Now she's on the wrong side of the pallet because I faked going to one side. So she started looping around the other. And now she's in prime position to get hit. She knows not to even bother juking there, though, because she knows the speed burst she gets will let her get to the boat of safety. So she knows that trying to juke there might end up making her not get to the boat, and there's no reason to do it. So here I figure I'm close enough to try to engage in a chase, but again, body block Chad Ace, making it so that is not going to be the case anymore. However, Ace is still pretty close to me, so I decide I'm going to have to chase people around this boat eventually and actually down people. So Ace wasting as much time as possible just running around an object, you know, makes me take another 5-6 seconds. So these guys are all pushing out things that are very efficient. It may not look like they're doing anything smart, but this is why in competitive matches you see things like people running to corners and just holding W in a straight line away from everybody else, because it's actually very smart to do and waste more of the killer's time than if you try to actually loop them. So here is where I start to begin a snowball. Hooking somebody in an area where you have generators that are almost done is very important. It allows you to keep the generator safe and also allows you to keep the person on the hook constantly threatened. So it's always a good idea to hook people near generators that you have finished. I place a portal up here in case people try going back to the boat. I probably should have done that prior. But even then, they still have the 2 safe pallets and you can't really ambush them. So when you have someone on your second stage of hook in a 3-gen, basically, now you have a pretty good reason to not really leave the hook. And this gets a little campy because, I mean, the game's over. I kind of have to. As much as I don't want to play nice, or I'm sorry, as much as I want to play nice, that gen is 99%. There's 1 gen left. I don't have that much of an option anymore. If I want to actually win the game, then I will turn up the sweat a little bit. And so in this scenario, there's nothing to do but what I'm doing. And here, I go for I don't even bother going for the hit. I just assume she has borrowed time. It's not even worth it. Now, I know I just downed the Jane. Wait, am I holding Jane? Yeah. No, I'm holding Fang. I know I just downed the Jane, so I notice this hook back here. I know the Jane will not be recovered in time by the time I get back to the hook. So me putting that person on that hook is what wins the entire game. Because now they're in a far corner of the map, and to get there, they have to kind of go past this hook, which has another person on it. If I would have hooked the Jane on that hook back there, and the Fang on this hook, they would have had time to save somebody while I was doing these things. But because I did it like that, there is no scenario where they have a safe option to save anymore. So now they're in a pretty bad scenario. I'm just going to get 1 hit here and go back because I have 2 people in the same area. Now the entire team is right here. I have no reason to leave. There's nothing even over to where she's running anymore. So this is my, essentially a camp zone. I have no reason to leave this area because there's nothing else to do. That other gen way back there has 0 progress. There's no way they finish that in time before 2 people are dead. So there's no reason for me to leave this area anymore because everyone else is just here. So I hit Ace. He's going to go for a 1-for-1, which is really his only option. I go for the M1 there. And again, I just assume she has borrowed time, so there's no point in hitting her. I acknowledge she's going to be able to get that save, like, kind of regardless, or the guy's going to die on hook. So there's no reason even deliberating letting that Ace get up. Luckily, the guy dies right before she can get there. Jane eventually gives up because she was an inch away. But there was no reason for me to even give her a speed burst for borrowed time, because that speed burst would have let her actually get to the hook in time and save that person. So it seems like sometimes you want to slug and just hit the person that gets off the hook. But if they have borrowed time, there's just no reason to even try in some scenarios like that. Like, if I would have hit her there, she would have gotten the speed burst and gotten the unhook, and we'd be in a much different scenario now. But that's pretty much the end of the game. And it really all came down to that single hook in the back. That's really all it was. I realized I had a gen that was 99 that they needed to finish. I had 1 gen left. I had no other options but to hook them in an area in which, you know, all the game progress was right there. So then we had 3 people in the same area because Ace was there, 2 were on the hook. And then probably the game-winning play that I did there was not immediately hooking the person on the hook that was right below them. I took them to the faraway hook and left the person that was just down on the ground because I know they would not be able to get up in time. And by doing that, I created this field of danger where no one could get past me without actually running into a melee attack. And that's basically what happened. And because they were injured, they had no chance of actually saving. And that is what won me the match. So, yeah, that is it. I hope you guys enjoyed this analysis game. It was actually a pretty fun match. These guys were all good sports about it too. They just pretty much all played well. They made 2 big main mistakes. I made a couple of mistakes, like at the pier at the beginning. I made a couple of mistakes too. So everyone made a couple of mistakes, but for the most part, they all played pretty well. Oh, here's the pog log. If you guys don't know what the pog log is, this is the pog log. It is probably the strongest structure in the game that has no pallet. It's just a fucking nightmare. It's very, very good. Pretty much the only way you can actually outplay the pog log is to cut off like this. That's kind of it. You gain a bit of distance. But for the most part, the pog log is insanely strong. Luckily, the pog log is usually only in the corner of the map, so it's not really around anything huge. But that is the strength of the pog log. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this kind of review of my own gameplay here. It was not like, you know, necessarily a competitive match or anything like that. It just had individual players in the match that sort of played like it was competitive. Like, especially the Fang running super, super early. The dropping of pallets, like, at very safe times. They're not really trying to loop that much. Very few mistakes overall from them. So they sort of just played like individually they were competitive players, but they weren't playing like a comp team or anything like that, because I don't think they were 4-man. But it was still good to look at, you know, individual survivor skill in the 4v1. So I think that is about it. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I could have missed from the analysis. Also, ignore this music. This is my own soundtrack. I was playing it in the background because I wasn't talking and there was no sounds happening. It was kind of weird. No, I think that's about it. Like I said, they were really good sports about it. I was apologetic that I had to camp them at the end there, but they understood because they were about to win. I had no other choice. So I think that is it, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this little, hopefully educational video, and that's it, guys.